everybody. Welcome to Cub Chat Live. This is one of our favorite kinds of episodes where we are talking about the program updates that are rolling out. So we've got the expert of all experts with us, friend of the show, creator of the show, Anthony. Thanks for joining.
How are you, Gina?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about today's topic. Every time we talk about the program updates, this topic tends to come up. And I really like it because I feel like our audience gets excited about it. And just to me, as thinking if, I were, a new parent in Cub Scouting, it just makes so much sense. We're talking about some of the resources for leaders that will be rolling out.
We are? I thought this was the Eclipse show.
Oh,
we're not going to talk about that.
Anthony, oh my gosh, you're just 3 days. You're 3 days early. I do hope you'll join us for that. Come tune in, stop Absolutely. By. We'll be at the BSA office going live. You're welcome to just jump in there at any point. Hey, that might be interesting to leaders too.
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll talk about leader resources because that's kind of the key element, right, to the Cub Scout program. There's kind of two essential elements to Cub Scouting, right? We need Cub Scouts, but then we also need leaders who are going to deliver a quality program, right? And so we've released so much information about the program itself, and we've got all those past episodes that are on Cub Chat Live channel and YouTube and all those other places that you can go back and check out. But yes, time and time again, people are like, "What about the leader resources and handbooks?" And we're excited to say that, kind of the breaking news is that handbooks are done, and most of them are in transit to scout shops across the country. So we are looking to have that deadline. So I'm not going to give a date yet, but pretty darn soon you'll be able to pick up your edition of any of the updated Cub Scout program handbooks. And so we're excited about that. And part of that is we're going to talk about in this show. And so if you do get an early copy or have gotten an early copy of the handbook, there's going to be an element there that is new that isn't up yet. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, well, way to tease it. What are we talking about today then, Anthony?
So we're going to talk about how are we going to deliver the Cub Scout program. And we learned lots of lessons that we were actually there was a software system, an online tool called Scoutbooks Den Leader Experience. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you're a super scouter because we didn't have a lot of people using it. We looked through that and we learned a lot of lessons from that. And one of the lessons from the Scoutbook Den Leader Experience was the mission was to really make it easy and accessible to get to the resource that I need to run my den meeting, right? Like I don't want to be given 5 different books and said, oh, take, page 10 here and page 100 from here, and just put it right in front of me, my direct line of sight, and one source. So that's the mission, and that's what we've come up with for the leader resources. What people didn't like about the Den Leader Experience was that you had to log in. So you had to be a registered den leader to be able to access the resources. And the challenge with that is in practical real life experiences, right? Sometimes the den leader can't make the meeting, right? So they're not the one prepping for the meeting. Maybe it's the assistant den leader. Maybe it's the Cub master, right? Maybe there's an activity that a parent is going to help with during the den meeting. So how do you get them the resources to be able to deliver that activity and everyone be on the same page? So what we've done is the leader resources are going to be on scouting.org. That's it. It's not going to be in Scoutbook. There's not going to be any login or password required. You'll just simply go to the Cub Scout homepage. You'll go to Den Leader Resources, and you'll be able to easily navigate and get to the rank that you're working with, that your den is, and then be able to access the adventure that you're going to plan for your den meeting.
So, Anthony, going back to the Den Leader resources and various resources that have been around for leaders over the years, this is our super user group who's watching. Probably a lot of these folks have used these resources. And I'm guilty too of sometimes feeling like, oh, we tried this, it didn't work. We tried this, it didn't work. But I think reframing to what this actually is we're learning from each of these steps, and we're recalibrating, and we're making it more and more user friendly. And man, I really think so much has gone into this when we kind of look at what these new den leader guides, resources look like. What are we calling them? That's my first.
So that's nomenclatures are important, right? Because it gives a description. So these are den meeting resources. That's what we're calling them, right? So because that it really helps that den leader to be able to, and when we get into the kind of the weeds, you'll be able to actually share the resource a lot easier across those who are helping you, and really make it a lot easier to help planning. But the big question, I already see it in the book there, and we talked about this before we got on, was, is there going to be a printed book? And the answer is no, right? And the reason why is very simple. You don't want a printed book, because if I printed everything, right, that's going to be costs you have to bear to be able to deliver the program, and we're trying to remove those barriers. Now, that's different than what we are going to show you is printer friendly. So if you want to custom make your own den meeting guide, right? Because some people want that printed resource when they're delivering the program, and that's great. And that will be accessible, and that will be print on demand, if you will. But that removes a huge barrier to having a book that you have to buy, that would end up being, and when you see how many resources we've developed, it would easily be a $40 book. And then to only use 10%, 5% of that book, because of all the resources we put together for you online, we're able to do that, and then you can pick and choose.
Okay, you made two just wonderful distinctions there. So den meeting resources says a lot. It says you don't have to be the den leader to use these, like you just said. It's something you are going to use at a den meeting for activities. It's a resource for those kinds of activities. So that just broadens, the scope of people who can use this. And then, to Anne Marie's question, can we get printed versions? You said, no, it's not going to be like this printed book. But I think as we go through this, you all watching are going to see that's not really how you would use it anyway. It's kind of, you land on an activity and you just want to have that paper, that 2 pieces of paper, and right. That's all you need.
Yeah. And one thing is funny, some experienced leaders will tell me, well, if you really want to show your age, people will ask about what used to be called program helps. And I'm really dating people. If you know what program helps are, you've been around a long time, and chances are you do not have a Cub Scout in Cub Scouting right now. And then we had the den leader guides, but both of those, what they had were very prescriptive, step by step. You do this, you do that, and there wasn't a lot of room for being able to move things around and kind of adding your own creativity to it. And then what gets lost is focusing on some of the minor parts instead of the major parts that we really want people to focus on. So, for example, I don't want you worried about having to come up with a different and unique opening ceremony for every den meeting, right? What's more important is making sure that you're delivering the adventures and the requirements to the adventures. That's how we know we're fulfilling our mission. Those required adventures now are our aims, our methods, and our areas of importance. So we want to make sure that that's what's being focused on, and not a very specific closing or opening or game that has nothing to do with the requirements. Instead, what we want to do, and what we've done, is we've created activities that are fun, they're hands-on, and by doing the activity, you're meeting the requirement. So kind of a little twist on what we used to do, and putting those resources of what you need to deliver the activity right in front of you. One-stop shopping. There's no referring to the Cub Scout songbook or referring to a how-to book or to this other resource. It's all right there in your direct line of sight.
I know we want to jump in and actually take a look at what this is going to look like, but Michael brings up a question that you've kind of addressed, but or not even a question, a statement. A lot of den leaders didn't use resources because they didn't know about them.
Right.
I think they're hard to get to is one thing. I can't ever remember which website to go to. Don't know what my login is. How accessible will these be?
Yeah, that's a good, and Audrey, our National Cub Scouting chair, one of the things she recognized was, we don't need more resources. What we need is to be able to filter people to the existing resources, what we already have. So when you see the Cub Scout handbooks, the new versions, The setup is very similar, where every adventure is a chapter, right? Well, at the beginning of that chapter, we always have this big, chapter lead photo, and then the title of the adventure, and a description of what the adventure is. We call it the snapshot, and then the list of requirements. But then now in the new versions, what you'll see is a QR code. And that QR code will take you directly to a unique page for that adventure, for that badge of rank. And that is where you can get started on planning your den meeting, and based on the available resources that you have. So we actually have some screenshots, and this we're going to walk you through this. So we'll start with the first one. Yep. So when you open up your Wolf handbook, there's a QR code for running with a pack at the very beginning of the chapter. So you'll scan that QR code, and this is what you'll see: the running with the pack adventure page. On that page is that snapshot of the adventure. And then we have embedded right there. First thing is a safety moment. Here are the things that you need to be aware of to deliver this adventure in a safe manner. Now, there's a boilerplate of, making sure you use the safe checklist and some other things, but we have some adventures that we want to make sure that whoever's preparing for that meeting, the assistant den leader, the Cub master, whoever's delivering the adventure, is aware of the safety elements that need to be incorporated in there. And then our next slide will show you, if you scroll down, I never do live versions of this, of online tools. The next slide, then below that, you'll see the requirements, right? So here are the requirements. There's 5 requirements for this adventure. And then you continue to scroll down, and below that, each requirement will be relisted. So this example, here's requirement 3, be active for at least 30 minutes with your den, or at least one other person. That includes both stretching and moving. Now, how can we complete that requirement? Well, there are several ways, right? I mean, we made sure that the requirements for all the adventures, not just the new required, but all the elective adventures, are very easy to understand. And there's several ways to be able to complete them that best meets the needs and the availability of your pack. So what we've created are these activity cards. So every requirement has at least 1, sometimes 3 different activities that you can choose from. And the way you decide which activity is best for you is simply by looking at these icons that we've developed. So if you go on the next slide, you'll see that those icons tell you at first, is it indoor, outdoor, or is there travel required? So super easy, right? So I know right away, are we going to, and if it says outdoor, it means you really have to do this outdoor. If it's indoor, there's lots of things that you can do that we'll label indoor that you can just walk outside and do, right? You can do the picnic table, it doesn't matter, but the outdoor ones say you have to do it outdoors. And then travel is, of course, like a go and see it, or some kind of field trip, or something that you probably aren't going to be able to do at your regular den meeting. Then the next icon is a lightning bolt. And that is the energy level of the Cub Scouts during this activity. So if you have a guest speaker that's just talking to the Cub Scouts, right, that's a 1. They're listening. It's very low energy. And then if they're playing kickball, though, that's very high energy, right? That's a 5. So they're running, they're moving around. So on a scale of 1 to 5, the energy level for this activity. The next are the supplies. Right? How intensive is the supply list? Is it going to take me forever to get these supplies, or can I do this kind of on the go? And so a 1 is there's no supplies needed. This is kind of easy. And then a 5, there's going to be something custom to this activity, a custom build maybe, or a custom item that you're probably going to have to go to Home Depot for.
I think like a telescope or something, something
yes.
somebody might have, but
something advanced, right? Something that is not just maybe lying around everyone's house. And then prep time. How long is it going to take the person who's delivering this activity to prepare for the activity? 1 is there's minimal prep needed. And that generally means you're just going to have to read over the activity. And then that's pretty much the prep time that's needed. And then a 5 is there's something that you have to do more than a week out, right? And so I keep saying 3 trips to Michael's or 3 trips to Home Depot. Carrie, you stole my joke. That used to be my 2 trips to Home Depot. So prep time is at something more than a week ahead of time. So if you're going to go visit the fire station, for example, you should probably contact the fire station a week before you get there, right? And so that's an example of what a prep time of a 5 would look like. So Now, some of my math majors are going to probably, hopefully, follow me on this one, right? So we have 6 ranks, and each rank has 6 required. On average, we have 20 elective adventures per rank. On average, there's 5 requirements for every adventure. And then we're providing, on average, 2 activities to choose from for every requirement.
Oh boy.
So, right. So I'll do the math real quick for you. It's about 1,500 different activities that we've come up for Cub Scouting for people to choose from. And the great thing is that these are based on the resources that you have as a den leader. I remember being a den leader and delivering that program, that there were some weeks I did have time. And yeah, I'm looking for something that I can do a little bit above and beyond that normal meeting time. But then other times, I had like 10 minutes to prepare. I was not ready. So now it doesn't matter what adventure you're going to pick from. Every adventure is going to have a variety of things that you can do kind of real quickly and very minimal prep time, to things that, hey, if you want to go over the top and have an awesome activity, here's some cool recommendations. So it really allows you at that glance. So once you've decided on that, you click on that activity card, and that takes you actually to that activity page. So not only do we have 1,500 unique activities, over 1,500 unique activities, we have 1,500 unique websites, web pages, because each activity has its own web page. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is all the detail of how to deliver this program. And so we made it as simple as possible. So for example, here's kickball, right? You're going to play a game of kickball. Well, if you go to the next slide, you'll see we tell you, what do you need? Well, you need an open field. You need a kickball, a soccer ball. You need bases for markers, right? And then we give you the directions of it. This is how you play kickball, and here's a link. If you don't know how to play, here's how you play. And then this is what you do during the meeting. So we have the directions of how to deliver that specific activity, what you need to do before the meeting, and then how do you deliver it during the meeting. And so this is the page that if you wanted to, push that print button, you can tell, really easy format. And then below that, some adventures, and this is kind of the work in progress that we will continue to build on over time, will have additional resources. So there might be a printable PDF file that is an activity sheet. There might be a video. There might be a photo of a completed project. There might be blueprints for a project. Those types of things that really help add, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So if we have something that could show you as a picture that really helps kind of bring that together, we try to provide that as well.
Such a cool resource. I know we're rolling it out, so we're not there yet. But what I like about this format is it has room to grow and evolve as we, grow and evolve too, which I personally think is a very cool thing. We're getting some great comments. I think that we've kind of addressed why this is, you kind of like boil it down to the activity you're going to use, and you would just print that if you want, a printer friendly version. I know I personally would be screenshotting it on my iPad or my phone or something. That's how I would prefer to use it. But I like that there's that flexibility. And I think that also addresses, a lot of people have concerns like, we meet in a basement, we don't have connectivity to this. You won't need it, because hopefully you can at least just take a screenshot and you'll have it.
Well, and this is one of those things that we did learn from the den leader experience, right? So we learned that people didn't like the barrier to accessibility, right? That we want to be able to run our den meeting right away and start doing adventures right away, and so we want to remove that barrier. The other barrier that we know of is that connectivity, right? That online piece, and what we learned was. We have the metrics for the den leader experience. So I really see this kind of as a sample size, a sample group. The vast majority of people that were using the den leader experience were using it on their desktop, not their mobile. And so what that tells us is that when people are preparing for their den meetings, they're probably doing that at a desktop, at a laptop. They're not doing that on the go necessarily. But you want that resource with you in your hand when you're in the den meeting, right? Because you probably aren't going to have your laptop in front of you, right? You want to be able to pull that up on your phone. And so it's there. We learned that there's a difference in that planning process, that den leaders tend to plan at a desktop, but then they want that accessibility in a mobile feature. And for some, that might be printed. For others, exactly what you just said, right? I mean, I think you are the essence of our current den leader, right? The age of our current den leaders. You just said something I never even thought about, which was I would just screenshot the page and then I have it in my photos, and that's how I can reference it because it's right there.
No, that's true. I honestly, and I hesitate to say it because I know some people don't like the idea of you having it on your phone, but that's just kind of how I'd use it. I can visualize why people would be utilizing these resources at their desktop too. Another thing that maybe people don't want to say, but a lot of times I think people probably, you don't have a lot of free time after work when you're juggling busy kids. You might be at work and pull this up and print it, or you may work from home, be able to print from your own printer, but I can see why you would be at a laptop or desktop for sure. Samuel said, and we've talked a little bit about this before, I look forward to these resources being able to help Cubs keep up with their den, even if they miss a meeting due to sports, school, and other life events. We've talked about that with Audrey before. This allows parents to work through activities with their kids at home, right?
Right. So here's the thing that we're bearing a little bit of a lead here, which is every activity has its own URL, which means every activity could have its own QR code or a link. So if you have someone who's really handy, a parent that's super handy in your craft, in your den, right? And they've got, maybe they're the ones that got the workshop, right? You can send them the direct link to, hey, here's the activity that we're going to do for this den meeting. Can you help me with this one activity? And it's simple, right? It's just all on one page. And that's really easy to say yes to. It's really easy for the den leader to delegate activities to parents that are helping out and increase that parental involvement. And so again, we really wanted to address that accessibility factor so that it's easy for a den leader to be able to get others to help, right? And not feel like they have to do everything.
I think that's super cool. I can see so many applications of being able to send out a QR code or a link. Yeah, and I'm really excited once this launches to be talking about how dens are using it and what they're doing. My mind's going wild.
Right, and that's something that our culture, folks have been with us for a long time. They're not really used to this from us, and so we're trying to break this habit, which is. When we roll this out, we are going to be watching and monitoring and seeing how people use it and then make adjustments to that. So I think someone just had a suggestion about, is there going to be a search feature? Is that going to be searchable? Well, we're going to find that out. We're going to see if that's something that a lot of people want. How big of a priority is that? Are people using it in other ways that we need to lean into? All those types of things we will be monitoring, looking for to make sure that we're staying relevant, right? And that it's a process, and it's never ending process. So when this gets launched, we're not just like, oh, we're done. We're like, okay, so what's next? How can what's the next step? And we're going to be listening to the users and our leaders and parents on what that next step might be.
I'm visualizing too, and maybe you may or may not just agree with this. I don't know. You probably have some input for me, but I can visualize too where you might send a link to the activity, maybe via WhatsApp or whatever your communication vehicle is with parents in your den, and say, hey, this is what we're going to be working on this week. And you could be asking them to bring supplies. They may have scouts with disabilities who kind of need like a little bit of a prep where they're going to know what they're walking into. I just think that could be really powerful for parents to know what the activity is that week.
Right. And again, if you missed that meeting, right, here's the link. I'm sorry you missed the meeting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry Susie was sick. I hope she's feeling better. But when she's feeling better, here's the activity that you can do at home. And then once you've done that, let me know and I'll mark her off that she's done it. Right. Because again,
no more FOMO.
So much easier, right? So much easier. Here it is in the handbook. And since it is in the handbook, the parents on their own could scan that QR code. It's going to take them directly to the adventure page, and they can see all the activities that requirements and all the activities themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. People are very pumped about this in the comments. They're answering each other's questions. You all are very well informed on this. This is great. There's the obvious question. What's the timing, Anthony?
Oh, well, June 1st, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, June 1st. So yeah, we are working diligently behind the scenes. There's a lot of content that we have. And then this is also in parallel with some updates that are happening with Scoutbook as well. Scoutbook plus Internet Advancement. And like we said, we're going to be retiring the Den Leader experience. So some people want to know about that, and also about entering advancement, right? That becomes important. And where do I do that? Well, the Den Leader experience, again, is already, if you go in there, you can't reload a new den. You can't start a new program in the Den Leader experience. So again, not many people who are watching know what that is and know what I'm talking about. So I won't spend a lot of time on that. Just know that the Den Leader experience, it's going to get sunsetted. And then after June 1st, there's not going to be anything that you can really do in the Den Leader experience. Everything goes to Scoutbook, Scoutbook Internet Advancement, and all the updated adventures will be in and ready that you can start checking off on June 1st. We're also giving a grace period, right? So there's a little bit of a grace period here for those who are maybe behind on entering their advancement for any awards or adventures that you're working on now, or that they complete maybe later in the year. You'll still be able to enter those advancements. You'll see a kind of a toggle in Scoutbook of a version. You'll be able to go back and backlog that, but that gets turned off on September 1, essentially. So you'll have until September 1 to enter any old or outdated or retired adventures. But June 1st, you'll be able to start entering new adventures as well. So we'll have two going on at the same time.
Very cool. That's a little look ahead. All that's pretty soon, but I think that grace period is important. Just in case you're a new parent or you never really used the Den Leader experience, when we say that that's going away, don't think that means like that's the term for the tool. There's still going to be resources.
It's not Scoutbook. That's not Scoutbook. That was just a feature of Scoutbook that, again, the mission of that was to make what you need to deliver a den meeting really accessible, direct line of sight, one place to go. And so that's the mission. We're married to the mission. We want to be committed to the mission, not the process, right? And so the process we were using was the Den Leader experience. Wasn't working well, wasn't working the way, it didn't have the adoption rate that we wanted. So what do? Well, what's the other way that we can commit to this mission and make it super easy, fun, simple, and easy, right? For den leaders to be able to access, or anyone to be able to access those resources and deliver a quality program in a safe manner too, by putting those safety moments right in the beginning. There's direct hyperlinks to those resources for keeping things safe, training modules, anything that might need above and beyond to deliver that program.
When we were looking at that safety moment too, in the example, I think it was with the running with the pack. You mentioned this. There's like some boilerplate information that you're going to see on, in every safety moment. But if you're looking in there too, there's specificity that one, because the first thing that came to mind for me was like food allergies. It's in there, like just a little bit of like extra. Get your wheels turning, making sure you're thinking through this stuff. I think that's so important.
Yeah, there's some activities in this adventure that you may choose where you're going to be sampling food. And so we just want to make people aware, hey, there's food. Ask the question, right? Just to check to see if anyone does have food allergies. And if then there is, then you make adjustments, but you got to ask first. We have one for the knife safety adventures, which we're really excited about, right? So we've got 3 new knife safety adventures that are coming out. But we didn't have a BSA resource, believe it or not, for Cub Scout leaders on how to teach knife safety and how to use a knife. So we actually shot that demo video this week. And so that's an example of an additional resource that will be on that page. So you just click on that link and boom, here's a quick little 5-6 minute tutorial of how to make sure that you're teaching knife safety properly. Things like, passing a knife and waiting for someone to say thank you before you release it. I grew up in scouting. These are things that just second nature to me, but we have to realize that, a lot of folks don't have that as second nature, and that we have to teach everyone on that very basic level.
It's so important, because if we're going to say, yes, you can step up and be a leader, then these are the exact resources and tips we need. Like you said, somebody who grew up in scouting or has been a leader for a while, this stuff comes second nature to you. But when you pass the baton or recruit a new leader, it's really helpful to have those things. Cool. Yeah, good point. Janelle says my Blue training covered knife safety, but it's fantastic to hear official information will be available to all den leaders. So many good comments. Keep those rolling in. After we're live today, you will be able to still view this video. You can send it to anybody you think might be interested. It's super popular. We can tell there's a lot of you viewing right now. So let's share this video. Also available in podcast form. We have many, many other update Cub Chat Live episodes you can check out at scoutingmagazine.org/Cub Chat Live. Anthony, what are we missing? Anything else we want to say about these den meeting resources today?
Really, just in recap, the accessibility is there, so you'll be able to get to the resources you need to deliver any adventure straight from the Cub Scout handbook, right? So that's going to be the easy access. It's on scouting.org. You'll be able to then share that with other leaders, with parents, so everyone's all on the same page. Everyone can help provide resources and contribute to that activity, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we want awesome den meetings, and we want leaders spending more time planning the meeting and delivering it than trying to figure out where to find the resource, what the resources are, and all that stuff. We want to put that right in the direct line of sight, simple, easy to use, so that you can deliver a super fun program to our Cub Scouts.
That is what I love to hear. Thank you so much to the team putting this together, because I know it's a tremendous amount of work. 1,500 plus pages is a lot of work. And again, it's just as easy as like, hey, this is the adventure we're working on. These are the requirements. Here are the activities I can use to fulfill each of these requirements. Let me pick which one's going to work best for my schedule and resources. Tap in there and you get all the information you need. It's very cool. What a great resource.
Thank you. Well, we hope it works, and we hope everyone finds it useful, and that it does what the mission, where the mission is, again, to make sure that these resources are easily accessible, they're easy to share, and they have the level of detail that's all you need. You don't have to go to another resource to be able to do that activity. Nothing's more frustrating than saying, learn more about this activity here, and then you can't find that resource.
You have to log into that too. Yeah, no, totally. I think the audience is excited. I'm excited. Leaders are excited. And the way this tool is built is it's, you can recalibrate it. It has room to grow and add more resources.
It does. And that's the nice thing, is that if we find, we're trying to set a structure also that allows us to call some, get some great resources and activities that people are doing there to meet these requirements. A lot of these were taken from social media. I'm going to be very honest with you. We saw some amazing things that some den leaders are doing out there to teach the Scout Oath, to teach the Scout Law, to do Bobcat, to make that more fun and more engaging. And we just honestly ripped off and duplicated that. That's our R&D department. But we saw so many people doing things that were like, this is amazing. How can we capture that? And without making it a requirement, right? And that was the challenge of, this is really over the top. It's super fun, but not everyone has the resources to deliver it this way. But can't we make it an option, right? So there's now options of, here's the kind of I'm on the go. I don't have time for this den meeting. And then, oh yeah, I've got a little time this weekend. I'm going to do something awesome.
Why not take it from the folks who are out there in the field doing it, as opposed to me sitting in my cubicle saying, well, I do think this will be a good idea. That's a no-go. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. I'm excited to talk more about this. I know we will, hopefully many times over the years, as we get to see it roll out and folks using it. I'm super pumped. Also want to remind everybody, we will be live Monday for the eclipse. We are right in the path of totality. So, and hopefully Anthony's going to stop by. He's got an open invite.
And you're going to be live at.
Yes, we'll be live from 12 Central, noon Central, to 4 p.m. Central, which is symbolic of the amount of time that the eclipse will be passing over North America. It's been dubbed the Great North American Eclipse, so we thought that was fitting.
Right, and we are almost in the path of totality. We're just almost in that direct line of sight, so it should be a great show. So I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Also, one more tease for it. We've got a unit that is going to be like some of the first in the contiguous US to see it, and some of the last in the contiguous US in that path of totality. So tune in. We're going to be talking with real life scouts.
There's a patch too you can earn. So if you weren't here for last eclipse, there's a patch. So really easy. It's kind of like, know the simple things about the eclipse, and then get the patch and get those from your Scout shop. I know that they also have created some awesome Scout BSA branded eclipse stuff. There's some Cub Scout branded t-shirts out there that are about the eclipse. So I would run and get those out before they sell out.
That's such a good point. Thanks for helping us plug the show. You can grab those shirts at scoutshop.org, of course. Anthony, one more big thank you to you. We will be back next Friday.
So, next Friday. Yeah. All right.
See you then.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure to catch next week's episode. Same time, same place. And let us know how we're doing at go.scoutingmagazine.org/ratecubchat. We love feedback and ideas for new episodes. And you can visit blog.scoutingmagazine.org/CubChatLive for all our past video episodes. You can see us live. Except it's recorded, but it was live. Okay, see you next week.